What's up everyone, it's Brad with the Untitled Fandom, and today let's talk about the first issue of the most important and impactful team in Marvel Comics history. That sounds like a bold and controversial statement, but in my mind, the Fantastic Four are that team without question. I don't believe the general public shares that opinion just yet, which means the comic NFT on the Veve platform is potentially undervalued. I'll explain why in today's video. Let's get into it. So I want to first talk about the origins of the Fantastic Four, and when we do that, we need to first look at DC Comics and their creation of the Justice League in 1960. At this point, DC was dominating the comics book space. They had Superman, The Flash, Teen Titans, and Wonder Woman, and they were selling very, very well. Marvel Comics then tasked Stan Lee to create something new and different to compete with DC, so he created Marvel's own superhero team. He made a few changes to make this team a little more relatable to the regular readers. He created a family as opposed to a bunch of strangers coming together. He got rid of the young sidekick stereotype and made the second Human Torch, aka Johnny Storm, to be the brother of Sue Storm. This created a nice family dynamic with Reed Richards, who would eventually marry Sue Storm in Fantastic Four Annual number 3. He did not want any secret identities, and as such the Fantastic Four were known to the public and were viewed as celebrities. The Fantastic Four, like regular families, bickered and argued, and that was relatable for many people and many readers with their own families. And this plan worked perfectly, as the Fantastic Four were very successful, and it all started with our NFT, issue number 1. This first issue focuses on their origin story, so let's quickly go over this if you haven't read it. Reed Richards builds the first spaceship that is able to travel beyond the moon. It's mentioned here that the motivation to launch this quickly was to beat the commies to space. This was the 1960s after all, but it was changed in Fantastic Four issue number 400 that the real reason was that the project was losing funding when it was about to get cancelled. Reed Richards invites his girlfriend Sue Storm along for the ride, and Johnny Storm, her brother, joined to keep her safe. Reed also reached out to Ben Grimm, an accomplished pilot and a former colleague of his, to help out as well. They snuck past the guards and launched the ship, but were hit by intense cosmic rays that disoriented and changed them at the atomic level. Sue Storm discovered she can become invisible, and later she would be able to cast force fields. Ben Grimm would gain strength, but physically turn into a monster. Reed Richards, when trying to calm down Ben Grimm, found out that he could stretch his arms around him, and Johnny Storm realized that he could burst into flames. They agreed to use their powers to help humanity from here on out. The issue finishes off with a mission to investigate some seismic activity and battle some monsters on what they call Monster Isle. They eventually confront the Mole Man, whose plan is to destroy all the nuclear plants on the planet from tunnels dug from beneath the Earth's surface. Let's just say in short, the Fantastic Four stop his plan and bury him in his own tunnels. So that's our NFT, and the Fantastic Four would end up being so popular in the 1960s that Marvel would try to introduce their new characters alongside them, just to give them more exposure and more incentive to buy it. A perfect example is Spider-Man, and you can see that with our NFT here with Spider-Man issue number 1. Now this isn't Spider-Man's first appearance, but this is his first series, and he's given a boost with a Fantastic Four cameo. Also, the X-Men were not popular back then, so Stan Lee gave them a guest appearance in Fantastic Four number 28 to give them a bit more exposure. Same thing with the Avengers appearing in issue 26. The Inhumans debuted in Fantastic Four issue 45, Uatu the Watcher in issue 13, and the Black Panther debuted in issue number 52. Also, the villains that originate from the Fantastic Four stories contain possibly the greatest rogues gallery of villains, and they include the Silver Surfer, Galactus, the Skrulls, the Kree, Ronan the Accuser, and Doctor Doom, just to name a few. Doctor Doom alone is one of the biggest villains in Marvel Comics history. He's held the Infinity Gauntlet. He's obtained the power of the Beyonder and Galactus. He reigned as God Emperor Doom and was a key player in the amazing Secret War storyline by legendary writer Jonathan Hickman, who also wrote the Powers of X and House of X series, which we do have NFTs for the issue number 1 for both series. But that's just Doctor Doom. There's so much more to be said about the others, yet they are also the most poorly represented villains to the general public and the cinematic universe. So I just want to talk quickly about the Fantastic Four as a team. I think I'll go into their individual powers maybe a little bit later in another video. Their main base of operations is the Baxter Building in New York City. Although they've had numerous bases over the years, the Baxter Building is their most recognizable base. Sue Storm and Reed Richards get married in Fantastic Four Annual number 3 and later have a child named Franklin Richards, who is one of the most powerful beings in the universe. He is an Omega level mutant with god-like reality warping abilities. When there is a problem other superheroes can't solve, the Fantastic Four are usually called on, or specifically Reed Richards. He is widely recognized in comics as the smartest person in the world. So when people like Tony Stark Stark or Beast aka Hank McCoy can't solve something, they go to Reed Richards. And that's really just the tip of the iceberg of the Fantastic Four legacy that we can look forward to. So I'm pretty sure most people don't know of this history or significance of the Fantastic Four, and that's great as an investor. As you can see now, they are arguably the most important team in Marvel Comics, a sentiment that many of the comic book community would agree with. The unfortunate thing is, outside of that community, the Fantastic Four have taken a backseat for a couple of reasons. One being Fox putting out some horrible movies. The 05 and 07 movies with Jessica Alba, they were okay, but that Fan Four Stick movie in 2015 was just horrible. That means there have been only 3 Fantastic Four movies in the last 26 years, and the last decent Fantastic Four movie was 14 years ago. So the general public have really forgotten about them, and I think they're really flying under the radar. There was also a theory in 2015 that the Disney-owned Marvel Comics was sabotaging the Fantastic Four since they did not own the cinematic rights. Disney actually canceled the Fantastic Four comic series. I can't really comment on the true motives because we ultimately don't know, but I do know for sure that definitely threw the team into further obscurity. With the acquisition of Fox by Disney, I'm confident that their legacy will be respected by Kevin Feige and that there will be a focus on them in the future, as there is also a changing of the guards with the MCU. The issue here is I think this transition will happen over years, not months. In my view, in regards to the comics, this has one of the biggest potentials to have high demand, as long as Veve goes mainstream. In terms of the current Veve comic releases, this is maybe top 3 in that regard. It's not number 1, that belongs to Marvel Comics number 1. I'm personally done accumulating those. I have about 10 of the commons, including this one here, which might have sneaky value. So I'm starting to accumulate the Fantastic Four number 1 comics, as they're very undervalued, in my opinion. This is not financial advice, but my strategy is to start sniping the buy nows or through the auction and grabbing either the commons or uncommons, particularly during market dips. I have about 5 or 6 so far as of recording this, and definitely will be getting more. Now, I'm no whale, and I don't think I'll be buying those secret rares. I'm just a regular guy with mortgage, bills, and a fiance, and let me tell you, those things are expensive. If I'm right about this NFT, sure, the secret rares will probably get the biggest boost, but you don't always have to be swinging for home runs. A bunch of singles or doubles will still make you money, so I'm scooping up the lower tiered rarities. Anyways, that's just a quick summary of the Fantastic Four, of our Fantastic Four issue number 1 NFT, and my thoughts of it as an investment. Thanks for watching, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.